recording now. Okay, so we'll make a start. So what we'll do is, first of all, go through the minutes of the meeting that we held last year on the 10th of June. And Amanda, I know, is going to try and share those on the screen for us. There we go. We're aware of some spelling mistakes. So on the first page in the list of attendees, there was a misspelling of Philip Barlow's surname, so it crossed through and corrected, and also in the apologies, Nina's first name was misspelled as well, so we have amended that. First page, just for accuracy, if anyone has got any amendments to make that they'd like to point out to us that we haven't picked up already. So on page 1. Yes, I see we've got a double S in was. Well done, spotted. And page 2. And again, we had a spelling mistake for Christine Urquhart's name, which we have corrected now. So just to point that out to you. Anything else that anyone has spotted? Okay, lovely, thank you. Can I ask somebody to approve those minutes for me? Right, at first, Imrana. So Imrana, can you approve those? And could someone second for me, please? Is that you, Ruth, as a second, as your hands up?
Second, thank you.
Yeah, lovely, brilliant. That's those approved and seconded. Thank you very much. Okay, so in terms of our annual report, that was already up on the website in advance of today's meeting. So you hopefully would have all had a chance to have a look through it prior to attending today. Again, we noticed a terrible oversight on the first page where we mistakenly left off our conference lead's name, Imrana, for which we apologise, and how we could have managed to do that, I really don't know. But she has been added on to the clean copy you see in front of you now. So that will be the copy that's updated. And what I'm going to do, just for ease, and because the annual report is quite long and runs to 25 pages, for ease and for speed, I'm going to use the infographic that you will also have had shared with you on the website, just to have a look back over the last year. So this infographic has, as I said, been shared in advance. And if we start off with our membership, membership in 2025 was 1,333, very nice number, with the healthcare sector, higher education and public sector returning the highest numbers of members. In terms of our awards, we awarded bursaries for Lilac and for the International Clinical Librarian Conference in 2025, and both bursary winners have written pieces for the newsletter talking about their experiences and what it was like to attend the conferences. In terms of our CPD events, we held 6 CPD events in 2025, including top tips on how to apply for a bursary, think like a teacher, making the most of shadowing, how health libraries can promote trusted health information, and coaching and mentoring for managers and supervisors. And all of these were well attended. Launchpad was launched and covers a range of topics of interest to those new to working in healthcare libraries, and also investigated how Health Libraries Group could also support professional registration candidates. Much of the CPD panel activity was focused on planning and organising the forthcoming 14th International Congress on Medical Librarianship, which is going to be held in Glasgow next month from the 14th to the 16th of July. We hope to see many of you join us at that conference. In terms of our international work, we have memoranda of understanding in place with library associations across America, Canada, Australia and Africa, and HLG has continued to support the core collection for district hospitals in sub-Saharan Africa, strengthening access to essential knowledge resources, and this resource will be launched this summer. The ICML conference in July 2026 has generated strong engagement from our international partners. In terms of our publications, the Health Libraries newsletter published issues in spring, summer, and autumn and winter, and covered conference reflections to unmasking misinformation. An international section was introduced to the newsletter to increase knowledge exchange across our international partnerships. Health Libraries News is circulated to all HLG members monthly, and work was completed on the Dental Core Collection in 2025, and that's now available on the Future NHS platform. In terms of our sustainability work, HLG has been busy with external networks promoting HLG as a platform for sustainability. HLG has presentation on CILIP's Green Libraries Partnership Board, the Green Libraries Conference Organising Committee, and the Healthcare Financial Management Association Sustainability Special Interest Group. And we aim to raise the profile of sustainability by our HLG work. During 2025, HLG contributed to the Unlocking eBooks project from Knowledge Rights 21, the NHS England Medical Training Review, the CILIP Strategy Consultation, the Digital Poverty Alliance Inquiry, and the Call for Evidence for the NHS 10-year Workforce Plan. The HLG account continues to show a healthy balance. The largest income stream was from royalty payments from our Health Libraries and Information Journal. It is imperative to explore other potential income streams and the affordability of a biennial conference against a backdrop of decreased capitation payments from CILIP. What I'm going to do now, having gone through that, is something I should have done first, for which I apologise, and that is to read out our chair's report. So we'll read this verbatim. The year 2025 has been a remarkable one for Health Libraries Group, marked by some significant achievements. Our CPD panel has been busy, hosting 6 events in 2025, one more than in the previous year. These events included top tips on how to apply for a bursary, think like a teacher, making the most of shadowing, presentation skills, how health libraries can promote trusted health information, and coaching and mentoring for managers and supervisors. Thanks should go not only to our co-CPD leads, but also to the CPD panel and those who gave their time to present at these events. The CPD panel also completed Launchpad, which covers a range of topics of interest to those new to working in healthcare libraries. During 2025, much activity was focused on the planning and organising of the 14th International Congress on Medical Librarianship to be held in Glasgow from the 14th to the 16th of July 2026. Thanks to the hard work and perseverance of our conference lead, CPD panel and judging panel, we now have a full and exciting programme planned, and we cannot wait to welcome fellow professionals from across the globe to Glasgow in July. Our policy work remained focused on promoting the value and role of health librarians to policymakers and external organisations. We contributed to several consultations, including those on Unlocking eBooks project from Knowledge Rights 21, the NHS England Medical Training Review, the CILIP Strategy Consultation, the Digital Poverty Alliance Inquiry, and the Call for Evidence for the NHS 10-year Workforce Plan. As a special interest group, we liaise with the wider information sector, with the co-chair sharing involvement in the Information Literacy Group, Patient Information Forum. We continue to collaborate with NHS England on the co-funding and development of the Health Libraries and Information Directory and the hashtag A Million Decisions campaign. We have also continued to work on a core collection of books for libraries in sub-Saharan Africa, which we will launch in 2026. We have had sad losses in the wider healthcare librarianship community this year. Judy Palmer, former editor of Health Libraries and Information Journal and regional NHS librarian, died in April. Her life was remembered by librarians in the community as part of the autumn-winter issue of HLG News. We were also sad to learn of the death of Bob Gann at the end of July. In recognition of his contributions to health information, we facilitated an obituary on behalf of CILIP. We also agreed with his family that we will develop the Bob Gann Award for contributions to health information for the public. As ever, we could not do this without the hard work and continued dedication of all of our committee volunteers, and we take this time to thank each and every one of you for everything you do. And that's thank you from Ruth Carlisle and myself as co-chairs of Health Libraries Group. Can I have someone to approve and second the annual report for 2025, please? Is that Janine with the hand up first? Yep, Janine. And is that you, Ali? Yep, Ali, thank you. Seconded, thank you very much. David, can I hand over to you for our financial report, please?
Okay. Amanda, is there a possibility of opening that? Thank you. Okay. Be at the end. Okay. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, just a bit of background around the financial setup for the Health Libraries Group. As you would aware, we host a conference biannually for the group and for the wider health community. Therefore, there is a year in between the conference years where we use our income to start funding for the following year's conference, and that is what largely happened within 2025. So we have income that largely is derived from CILIP, that we get a decapitation payment and a capitation payment, and also Hills royalties, which are a major source of income. So for 2025, as you can see, we had 15,587 income from Wiley for our royalties, and our other main sort of income really comes from the training events, which we've already mentioned is around sort of various different sort of things, and we continue to do that. And we will be continuing to do that in the future. So income is actually rising in regard to sort of the training income that we have. We've also got income from EBSCO Nursing Bulletin, which is an historical income that we continue to receive. So we're sort of pleased to receive that. Expenditure, again, tends to be quite low in the fallow year, as I would call it. But towards the end of 2025, we had to make sort of quite a large commitment towards securing sort of premises for the ICML. So that is the 20,995. HLISD that we co-fund with NHS England, our contribution was 3,390. And apart from that, we had conference fees that go back to the 2024 conference in London. So we had to pay that at the beginning of 2025 as well. So again, within quite a robust sort of situation at present. The deficit was 16,000, but again, that was largely due to the ICML deposit, which would normally have come out of this year's sort of expenditure rather than the previous year's. But it's beginning to look robust. We have to continually review where we can obtain income from. So we're looking at various different ways, and we will continue looking at different ways in the future. So I think that is sort of largely sort of my report.
Thank you, David. Okay, can we have someone to approve our financial report? I know it's part of the overall report. Thank you, Tony. And someone to second that. Is that you, Nina? Yes, thank you, Nina. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions as a result of having heard from our annual report and also our financial report? Nina, is that a legacy hand?
No, it's Alan.
Oh, geez, yes. Okay, Alan.
Hi, folks. Thanks so much for all of the work that you do on our behalf, first of all. It's really appreciated. It's so important that we do those things. It's just a couple of bits. The first one is to kind of repeat the kind of question, which I'm sure has been asked before. Why are we still on X? I think it's long since time to leave that particular Nazi bar. You know, we're not doing ourselves any favors by being there. I appreciate that it's still building in other domains, but I don't think that there's a strong case for remaining. The stats are kind of quite confusing. I don't really understand what posts would mean, but anyway, I don't think there's an answer needed there, other than unless people feel there's an answer needed. But I hope that we'll take ourselves off X in the near future. The other one where I've got more of a question is around HLG. Obviously, we're, as you flag, very dependent on the income from HLG, but there's no information at all about HLG in the annual report or the graphic or anything else. And HLG is an important part of our activity overall. It's our professional journal. So I'd just like to get an idea of what's happening with HLG, please.
Thank you, Alan, for both questions. As you rightly say, we are still on X and also on Blue Sky concurrently. I don't have an answer. I don't know that there is an answer at the moment to give on that, but it's something for the committee to consider coming off X completely at some stage, but I don't know when that will be. And now Ivana's just put a hand up and I can't see who I'm looking for. And Ruth, wherever she's gone. Are you there, Ruth?
I am, yes, thank you.
Yes, you've disappeared off my screen. Ruth, can I ask you to pick up on the HLG question,
on the HLG question. So for colleagues who don't know me, my name is Ruth Carlisle and I have the pleasure of being co-chair with Leslie of the Health Libraries Group. So the question in relation to the Health Information and Libraries Journal is a good one, Alan, and thank you for raising that issue for us. And we are absolutely committed to looking at the issues in terms of how it is that we enable the profession to publish, enable the profession to build its evidence base for the future. We have had a slightly confusing relationship with Wiley over the course of the last 12 months. They have still continued to pay in terms of historic royalties, and we have been seeking meetings with Wiley to talk about how it is that we look at the future shaping of the journal, what the opportunities might be in the longer term. We had raised with them in terms of whether they wish to buy us out. That is one of the options we raised with them, but we've had no response through at this point in time and have waited several months for any sort of response through from them, given that the lack of any consultation on it, we wanted to put all the different options on the table through. So when we do have communication, obviously we will share and discuss with colleagues within the membership, but we are at this point in time having limited success in terms of communications going through.
Does that answer your question, Alan?
I suspect it doesn't answer the
No,
question, but I
not
think
really.
it's the confusion through at this point in time, in terms of our honesty.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we had our editor, our fab editor, is come to the end of that time, so it just feels things are a bit uncertain. And I mean, obviously, it's important in terms of our income, and it's important in terms of its role. So I know Wiley are not the easiest people to deal with, for sure. That's a wide experience, but yeah, it's a concern, I guess, and it would be good to hear some progress, and because we need to bear it in mind as well in terms of whether there's anything we as reviewers and authors and readers of that journal need to do towards Wiley as well, because yeah, in the end, the journal is built in part on lots of people's labour. So
It is absolutely. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Anna, for your question. Imrana.
Thanks, Leslie. I just wanted to respond to the X, etc. We're in transition. We've been looking closely with Potenza and Philip as to how our socials are working, and we're in transition to make sure that we build up a fellowship on Blue Sky, etc. But we do review this regularly, so we're not going to stay on X forever, but we are in a transition period.
Thanks, Imrana. Does anybody else have any questions? I can't see any other hands, but I may have missed somebody. No? Okay.
Not showing there's any other hands up, Leslie,
No.
at the moment. So.
No, okay. Thank you very much then for the questions that we've had. And just before I bring the AGM to a close, we don't have all of our committee members here this afternoon, but for those who do, I'd just like you, when I call your name, just to just say, well, turn your camera on, hopefully, if you can. I know it's not always possible for everybody. And just say who you are and what your role is on the committee, so that people who have joined us for the AGM can put a name to the faces. So I will start at the top of my list, which is Ruth.
Hello, Ruth Carlisle, and it's my pleasure to be co-chair of Health Libraries Group.
Thank you, Ruth. David.
David Law, and I'm the treasurer of the Health Libraries Group.
Thank you. Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda Balaam. I'm the secretary for the Health Libraries Group.
Thank you. Janine, are you still here?
Yes, I am. Janine, I'm co-lead for sustainability.
Thank you, Janine. Adam.
Hi everyone, I'm Adam Tocock. I'm Janine's co-lead for sustainability.
Thank you. I think I'm right in thinking Sarah's gone now.
I've hung around just for this. Hi, Sarah Hensley, former co-chair and conference lead and current committee member, just floating around.
Thank you, Sarah. Stephen.
Yep, Stephen Reid, assistant editor of the newsletter.
Thank you, Stephen. Imrana.
I am Imrana, past co-chair and currently conference lead.
Thank you. Tony.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm the co-lead for the CPD panel.
Thank you. Celestina.
Hi everyone, I'm Celestina. I'm the HLG newsletter co-editor with Alice and also with Stephen. Yeah.
Thank you. Nina.
Hi there, I'm Nina. I'm co-lead for policy.
Thanks, Nina. Alice.
Hi, I'm Alice. I co-edit the newsletter with my colleagues Celeste and Stephen.
Thank you. And last but not least, I think, Ali.
I thought I thought very it was code the virtual reward that I may or may not role with the vacancy in the committee.
Thank you, Ali. Is there anybody that I've not spotted that's snuck in and I've not noticed? I think I've captured everybody. Okay, so thank you, committee members. We couldn't do this work without everybody that you've just heard introduce themselves to you. So on behalf of Ruth and myself, I'd really like to thank them from the bottom of our hearts for everything you do, because it's, as you know, all done as volunteers, and it is a lot of work. So we really do appreciate everything that you do. At that point, I will bring the AGM to a close. So thank you for listening to our reports and asking your questions. And I would like to hand over to Ruth now, who will introduce our guest speaker for the afternoon. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Leslie. And thank you to Clayton for joining us today from Canada at what I believe is about 7:30 a.m. in terms of your time zones through with us. So we're very grateful to have you with us. I met Clayton through a series of roundtables sharing best practice across between the UK and Canada. And it was very exciting to see all the different strengths, the different elements in terms of how it is that we develop services through. But I was really quite inspired by the way in which, if you think about knowledge management and enabling tools as a core for infrastructure, for professional development, for looking at how a health service can be completely redesigned, actually the Canadian experience is something that we can all learn from. So I was thrilled when Clayton Kotzner, as the Director General with responsibility for both knowledge management and enabling tools, was happy to join us at this very early hour for his timing through to share in terms of that experience. So welcome, Clayton.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ruth, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for extending the invite. It's greatly appreciated. Like Ruth mentioned, Clayton Kotzner, I'm the Director General within Service Canada, and you'll also see Employment and Social Development Canada. So we're an operational side called Service Canada, and our larger ministry is the Employment and Social Development Canada. And had a great relationship starting, as Ruth said, and really excited to just share with you a little bit this morning about what we're doing over in the other side of the pond from the Commonwealth. And also really interested to hear some of your points, feedback, where you're going, because this relationship we've started over the past year has been outstanding. So I know we have some slides. Would you like me to share them, Ruth, or just have those follow along? Which would you guys prefer? I can do either way.
If you're able to share, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Sure. Here, I'll just go to perfect. Hopefully that's showing for you.
They are showing for us. Thank you.
Excellent. So today, basically, just we'll give you the fast and furious brief. What's Service Canada? What do we do over here? A bunch of numbers so you can see our size. I think our volumes and our geography really contribute to what our mandate is in Service Canada. And then a little bit about our operational model and see how we can compare it. And you can look at how your business runs and how you support those citizens in the UK. The Integrated Expertise Network. This is a new branch that we've created with a recent amalgamation of our services, and that's where our knowledge management lies. So it helps a little bit to set the stage, and then really the fruit of the presentation. What is our present knowledge management situation? What are our challenges? Where are we coming from? And what's that aspirational goal that we have as we go forward? So a little bit about Service Canada. So for myself, I come from a pretty broad background. I was a Royal Canadian Air Force officer for about 21 years as an aerospace engineer, taught in engineering university for a while, aircraft maintenance, then retired from that and came over to Service Canada, and really has been a large part of our service design, our organizational design of Service Canada overall. And now within how we deliver service supports to our frontline staff across Service Canada. So what's our mandate? Well, Service Canada is the single point of access for all Canadians, landed immigrants, clients, because we have a vast array of programs for benefits services of the Government of Canada. So it's a really, really broad mandate. The other piece that provides us with, I think, a uniqueness is we provide all of our services in French and in English. So that's a really important part as we go through the design process, as we go through the instructions, because it also means that we have staff that work fully English, fully French, and in French and English in a bilingual format. So how we prepare all of our knowledge articles, our processes, have to be done in a way that respects a really core tenet of that Canadian culture. So what do we do? It's a pretty broad mandate. So we can see all of the things here, all those life events. And all these life events are really wrapped up in a couple things. We have 3 statutory programs that are really the backbone of what we do. We have an employment insurance program. We have an old age security program. So that's a social benefit program. You don't have to pay into that. Every Canadian is eligible for that. And it has some side benefits, guaranteed income supplement for some of our lower income vulnerable clients. We have the Canada Pension Plan, pay into plan for Canadians. And then we also have all the government services and programs. So our passport program we run, our social insurance number program is through Service Canada, and then all grants and contributions. So we have an entire portion of our directorate or of our ministry that is the labor program. So not just our labor safety standards, but all of those things, especially now in interesting times where all countries are doing their utmost to bolster their economies. Our labor program has a lot of economic focus programs. So when we put these all together, basically we are involved in 3 out of 4 Canadians walking down the street in any major city. We have a part in their life. So a real backbone of Canadian culture. So when we tell you what the numbers are, we have a lot of funds that flow through Service Canada. There's just about $200 billion of benefits on those big 3 programs only that we see running through. So the administration of that, and of course, the processes and the procedures to ensure that we have accurate stewardship of these resources. Fraud, misuse, those happen everywhere. So we have to always be vigilant to make sure that we're dealing with the processes to ensure that that is minimized at the start in security by design, but also that we have the processes for compliance and investigatory processes. We take a look at the other side. We also have grants and contributions, as I said. So one of the pieces that we also have on top of labor and economic agreements, we have our social development agreements, and we also have a large portion of our business for our Indigenous relations and our Indigenous agreements with the various Indigenous nations across Canada. And kind of underpinning all of that is the social insurance number, registry and processes. So this is the main indicator for citizens of Canada to interact with the government, whether it's on taxes or a variety of programs. So we are in an immense time of change right now in Service Canada, and we have kind of these are like the major themes that really are changing how we're doing business. And the first is the benefit delivery modernization. So over the past basically about 10 years of planning, and we are in the last stages of execution of the program, Service Canada has taken over the largest transformation, digital transformation in the Government of Canada's history. We are revamping the backbones of those delivery IT infrastructures. It's the largest IT project in the Government of Canada, and it's paying, for example, in our old age security that just went from our old system, which is that 1960s era of software that is extremely fragile, to the new system. The transfer switched 7.2 million seniors from their benefits on our old system to our new system, which is CURM. IBM Irish branded social development software, health-based. And we're moving that across all of it. And we're also changing how we're organized. And that's a service delivery network. So that's our snazzy name for the new structure across service delivery within Canada. So really emphasizing, and you'll see this theme, that we are a network-based integrated organization to maximize the benefits for Canadians. We are really focused on digital, and we'll see that our digital services, ensuring that we have processes and services that have a digital first approach and a client-centered approach. So our new creation of a chief client service office is really ensuring that our designs and processes are not built for the best for us, not the easiest for us. They are the best for the client, where the client has friction points and where the client needs our help the most. And that's really where we're going on this piece, where we can see, where were we? We were fragmented, I would say, and we are moving much past that. We have 4 different regions. We have multiple different programs. We have multiple channels, and we all treated those as different businesses. And that meant that how we gave instructions to service officers was all different also. That really has to change. That was the crux where we can see everything in the future moving to integration, commonality, streamlined operations, effectiveness in our operations for Canadians, the huge themes that we see coming through right now. So how do we deliver all these over in Canada? Not to say they're the best, just to say they're the way that we're doing it right now. Really looking to all your feedback to see how some of the ways that you're doing business. We have 2 main online telephone ways. So we have a canada.ca. If you're ever bored at night and you want to check out what we're up to, this is our open source Government of Canada information. And this is where everything where Canadians can get any open source information will be found there. 1.3 billion visits, and we're right now about 40 million people in Canada. Not very big for how much geography we have, but it is the main contact. We have e-services, we call them, where you can put in a digital request for service. We have a generic call center line, 1-800-O-Canada, and our call centers are configured such that we have right now 8 specific call centers for major programs or amalgamated programs. And this is one of the pieces that we'll talk about. How do we give the instructions to those staff that are working into these lines of service? And then we take a look at our map. Canada's a big place, so we put ourselves into 4 geographic regions, understanding that the region of Quebec is a French region, the region of the Atlantic region is a bilingual region, and Ontario and Western Canada's are unilingual English regions. And that goes over 5 time zones. So we also get the fun of, like I said, I start early, so I'm all good to start this morning, and we're used to working across a bunch of time zones. But we have an extremely large geographical footprint. The Government of Canada has committed to Canadians that they'll have services of Service Canada within 50 kilometers where they live. And when we see the map, that's a huge thing. So 600 points of service across the country. Some are permanent, some are temporary. And then those 75 operation centers are those big centers, like a processing center or call centers. And they're all supported from national branches. So like myself in a national branch supporting the whole network, but thankfully allowed to work anywhere within the country, because today I come from Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is basically right in the geographic center of Canada right there. And we operate across the fine country in a national role, no matter where we live geographically. So this integrated expertise network. So we kind of come down a little bit to say, of all the great services, what do I get to be part of? We are the organization that supports our service officers across the network as they deliver services. So that is, we are responsible for all training across Service Canada and the training development. We're responsible for the creation of the entire knowledge management ecosystem, from initial drafting, standards, quality, and publishing across all of the network. We have our quality control systems to ensure that the internal quality and client-facing quality are meeting the standards that are publicly and legislatively set for us. And we have our employee supports. So we have the phone a friend helplines, basically. So we have a ticketed system for service officers to give us ticketed emails where they can get an expert to help them. Last year we had, for example, about 120,000 requests into that zone. We have a call a friend on our call centers for those that are working a call line. And then we have individual coaching, either in small groups or those that are really needing a little bit extra support. We have systems to support there. So a very broad mandate. And I am fortunate enough to lead the knowledge management and enabling tools as we see our ecosystem of how we serve across Service Canada. So in the mandate that I have, and we can see some of those just to go over high level enabling tools, those like our system that is the email supports, how we have our use of AI is within my mandate, how we give feedback and how have our staff give us feedback to implement in our systems. And then most notably, I think for this morning is talking about the knowledge management system. How do we have our knowledge management given to the best way so our clients can access the information, or our staff can access the information in a clear, concise, usable manner so they can serve Canadians and clients quick, efficiently, to make sure that they have the services and benefits that they deserve within the Canadian system. So the last piece here, and sorry, I forgot to say, wanted to use about 20 minutes. So I got about 5 minutes left for the 7 minutes, and then really looking for some discussion points too, open to any questions that you may have or feedback that from things that you see from your side in the UK over to how we're dealing with things over in Canada. So what's our current situation in knowledge management? We have two really large problems. As we said, we have all of this diversity. We don't have a way that we can easily integrate staff across all of these channels right now because our instructions are completely different. Though employment insurance program, it's an insurance program, it's legislative, it has a policy about that big. We have different instructions, whether we're talking to a client on the phone, in person, on a video call, or processing. That does not allow us to move staff back and forth, because sometimes of the year we need to increase our capacity in our phone channel. Sometimes we need to be processing. Sometimes it's in person. We can't do that very well. We have a huge amount of duplication because, as you can understand, when we make a change, we make changes everywhere instead of making singular changes that cascade through our system that are easily tracked and can handle those kind of consistencies. We have a pile of documents, and that puts change tools, and IT risks broadly into the system. So where does that kind of show what we have right now? There's a couple charts here, and welcome you to read those. Hopefully you have these within your package. Feel free to share them. We have 5 major systems that support these programs. We have our EI reference tool, and we can see the numbers and files and usage. We have a tool that is for our call centers, our common reference tool across all programs. We have a tool for our in-person operations, for those integrity issues, that security, the compliance processes, and then one for pensions. So we can see the number of files, the number of users, the number of channels. These are all different. And we can see quickly what kind of duplication and inefficiencies we have, because we are moving towards an integrated network where we want a service officer to seamlessly move across and have the best tools. And this is presenting us with that challenge. So where do we move to? So we have a knowledge management evolution on the go. I put the chart in there only, it's to test if you're older like me and you need to make sure if you need to get the bifocals, that's why it's there, so you can test to make sure how small you can read. But really it's just to demonstrate we are in the midst of a 3-year project with a system integrator, one of the big contractors, to move from that very disjointed system to a singular integrated knowledge management system. So that is, right now we have made the decision to move to a SharePoint-based system using all the functionality of SharePoint. So those that might be familiar with the use of SharePoint may know that it has a pile of functionality that isn't always used and sometimes does have additional costing. And that is our backbone because it's stable. We are going with a SaaS solution that looks to be continually upgraded. Concerning ourselves with future tech debt is really where we're going. And we need to now move over with the support of AI to take all of those systems into the singular plan. I do like this, and it's probably another one to test the eyes as you go through, but really we can see how we're doing it. So it is complex. We are taking that first stage right now, and we're in the planning stage of those 3 years. The execution commenced about 2 months ago. So we're going through right now that analysis of the full inventory, architecture, the roadmap in an agile program management methodology through the system, which also puts opportunity and risk, obviously, that we don't have the traditional waterfall that we are going through each of the pieces. But we know this first stage is so important. The cornerstone of our taxonomy, the cornerstone of our IM structure across for scalability as we in the future, and usability for our clients, which is our service officers that use the knowledge articles that we're writing. We go through this, you'll also see a theme of AI. We have a huge AI lean on what we're doing as we're moving forward in 2 ways. The thousands of articles, and we'll go through moving those into the singular processes and procedures as moving forward, and also a search tool. So we'll dive into that a little bit more in the next couple slides. Right here. So as we go into AI, one of the biggest pieces is in the years back, service officers have always told us we have all of these articles. They're written in terms that are very policy driven or legislative driven. So I'll say a normal Canadian worker looks at those and goes, okay, help me out here. What does that actually mean in these situations? So common language that is relatable to our staff is huge, making sure that now we have a search functionality of that common language that is Google-esque. And now we're going to say like ChatGPT or Copilot, and which is the Copilot powered by ChatGPT is the engine behind our search tool. So going into not only our inventory of procedures, to get the relevant information and examples, but also going in past service requests from service officers. When they say, I have a situation like this, they'll find examples we've used in the past or where we can help our service officers. We also see that the writing function, the amalgamation of our service, of our procedures into single coherent articles is one of our goals. We need to test that. Having a human in the loop of that product is one of our key tenets as we go through this process to ensure that we're not using AI and assuming it's correct. We're using AI only as that accelerator of the drafting process with a large piece of the plan to make sure that our validation, our cross-referencing is fully accurate. One of the big pieces that we are increasing is productivity, and that means that we have to report on how we're doing. What is our backlog? What is the use of some of the articles? Is it worth the effort in some of these areas? What are our high use that we have to make sure that we have the highest attention on, that are the most efficient, is one of the big pieces. And security and governance. Some of our processes, especially on the integrity side, do have security implications. They tell people how we look up on our compliance and make sure that systems are being used properly. So we do need to make sure that we have that portion within our new knowledge management environment as we go into the new phase. So overall, the goal is then to create that single knowledge management ecosystem that gives the same instructions to a service officer, that is tagged to where they are working in the channel system, that gives them consistent and accurate information in a readable format that has the best search engine that we can give, such that they can deliver those services to clients in the most effective way possible. So that is the very quick version of Service Canada. and where we're at on our knowledge management journey right now. Thanks for a little bit of time to share that with you this morning or this afternoon for you, and welcome any feedback or questions you may have on that material.
Thank you, Clayton. And I'm sure others will have found that inspiring as well in terms of the presentation through. I'm going to take chair's privilege and ask a first question whilst others are thinking through in terms of the questions you have. Just given that sheer scale, that sheer, I don't know, imagination to make that happen, was it something that came as a policy top down, or is it something that's different professionals within the teams have generated the ideas and then influenced policymakers? How did you make something so transformative actually get to the top of the agenda so that it actually got the resources it needs?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the piece that has helped the success is it had the single goal of our benefit delivery modernization was moving from a disjointed network to a single integrated network. Ensuring our senior leaders, our minister, our deputy ministers kept that messaging allowed us to ensure that this, and I'm a supporter. I used to be an aerospace engineer, so I understand operations, but I also understand to the core the support mechanisms. Sometimes they can be deprioritized. We made sure that we communicated the central role of our support systems in an integrated way to the success of that very simple common goal. And because we were so closely tied, it made the conversation very simple when we said, these are the resources that we need, because this is one of the key tenets to our success. So I think tying that very simple messaging and mandates really helped us over those very difficult conversations about resourcing, about some of that vision and for the future.
That's really helpful. Thank you. I see there's some nice comments in terms of feedback, in terms of presentation coming through in the chat. Are there any questions through for Clayton? I'm sure there must be. Do feel free to raise a hand or put a question in the chat. So Katie, question.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks, Clayton. That was really interesting, and I don't envy the scale of the project that you've taken on. But I think when you've got to the other end, it'll be amazing. My question kind of follows on from Ruth. It's about the people behind all the tech and everything that's coming through. So I wondered how you're kind of keeping staff engaged with all these changes, keeping everyone kind of on board, and then, in terms of the knowledge articles, do you have a process where kind of staff expertise can be added into that knowledge base? So it's not just what's in the policy, but it's, I don't know, somebody in such team's the expert on that. You could also reach out to them. So I just wondered if you've got to that thought process yet, or if you had any conversations about things like that.
Yeah, those you're thinking about the right things in this side. So for the first piece, the change management with staff and with leaders, which has actually been probably more challenging, is huge. People have invested big parts of their soul into the systems and they're very proud of the systems they have, and they're good systems, just not integrated together. So getting that momentum for change, getting people to accept that they will leave products that they have invested so much time into has been really hard, and really on the leadership. So we have been really purposeful, and I think that it's a place where if we could go and do it all again, we'd probably try to even get more lessons learned to support that change management, drive it at all levels, show early benefits of why we're going there. So that has been a key piece, and I think we're you can never put too much in there, and I think like a place of growth in the future for us there. Having that user-centric view in the design has been really key. So the way that we're organizing We have the project team. That's a big, big government project we're kind of probably used to, that we're contractor and government public servants working together. I'm the operational side. So I'm actually that person that is supporting with the team that I'm fortunate to work with. We're supporting with the business experts on their design, taxonomy, all of those things, to making sure that as they draft something, and sometimes the products get made, we're trying to avoid it was made in isolation without the people doing the work. So having the linkage to myself and my team, which reaches out to the broad base and says, okay, here's the draft, like rip it up, tell me what's wrong. We have feedback ways. We use Qualtrics as we call it the always on component. It's ways that staff can give us feedback anonymously. That's through the system. That is a unprompted feedback methodology, targeted surveys, review feedback pieces. So there is a pretty broad intention to make sure that we're getting that in there, because they're the users. So we better make it right for them right from the start, is kind of the mentality. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you. Can't see any other hands raised. If you want to raise a hand, do so quickly. Otherwise, I shall slip another question in quickly. I'm tempted to put the other question in. There's a whole thing here about trust, isn't there, both for the staff and for users in terms of sharing their data. And as we are beginning to move much more to a digital first NHS or National Health Service in England and in other home nations, we are finding that actually some people trust where the data is stored, some don't. I don't know how it is that you would approach that whole issue of trust and data security for people, and people being ensured that they can trust you with their data.
Yes. We have, I'd say, a maturing chief data operations branch now dedicated to that side. That's a colleague branch of ourselves. They are really the key players, and how we've even seen it come into ours. The society demands that, especially of government. And as we try right now to use their data across, because it would be so much more efficient. Could we use your data that's from the Canada Revenue Agency, that knows your income, that we can use that for how we deliver services to you to know if you're automatically eligible. We're probably seeing, I would say, nominal uptake on that. I think there's hesitancies for how we see it in the knowledge space is the security assessments are very heavy. The priority that has before we ever launch tools is extremely heavy, such that we can get proactive in messaging. And I think that might be one of the things that, as we go through trying to help create that environment of trust, is to have those real proofs as we go through, not just of initial data security assessments, but the monitoring and communication to make sure that it's not a black box, that we're trying to be very transparent in the processes we have. So I wish you luck on the data, the digital, the push. I think that's obviously the future here, and we throw AI in the mix too, and it could make it more complex or a little bit interesting to deal with. So yeah, thanks so much, Ruth.
Thank you. And so I'm conscious that we're now at time, but thank you so much. And you did say that you were a morning person, so that was reassuring in terms of our ask of you at 7:30 in the morning. But we will be sharing your slides afterwards with attendees, and I'm sure that people who weren't able to attend through, if you're happy for us to share the slides more widely, will also be interested. But thank you so much for your time and for joining us today.
Oh, that's terrific. And Ruth does have my contact information. Do feel free to share. And as we grow these relationships, if there's conversations, relationships that you think might be supportive to carry on, always welcome to reach out and have those conversations. So thanks so much, Ruth, and thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that, and we will see you all soon. Thank you.